The year was 1882. The bustling streets of Alexandria were alive with merchants, travelers, and scholars, each weaving through the cacophony of Arabic, Greek, and Italian voices. Among them walked Dr. Jonathan Whitaker, a British archaeologist famed across Europe for uncovering rare artifacts. But nothing in his career had prepared him for what lay beneath the shifting sands of the Nile Delta. Alexandria had always been a city of secrets. Founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE, it was home to the legendary Library of Alexandria, a repository of every scroll and manuscript known to the ancient world. Historians debated whether the library was destroyed in a single cataclysm or gradually erased over time. Whitaker believed a portion of it might still survive, hidden beneath layers of earth and neglect. On the fifth day of the dig, he found it, a sealed chamber, smaller than the grand halls, but undeniably significant. Its inscription sent chills down his spine. He who opens this tomb shall see the knowledge of the ages, yet wisdom comes at a price beyond mortal comprehension. Ignoring the warning, Whitaker ordered the seal broken. Whitaker's expedition was no simple dig. It was a race against time and rival treasure hunters, particularly a shadowy French syndicate rumored to fund covert missions across Egypt. Each step down the narrow staircases and vaulted corridors sent shivers down his spine. Hieroglyphics and Greek inscriptions danced across the walls, whispering stories of pharaohs, philosophers, and astronomers. Inside, there was no gold or jewels, only scrolls, tablets, and artifacts meticulously preserved. Tablets depicted unknown constellations, advanced mathematical formulas, and diagrams of machines resembling water clocks and solar devices centuries ahead of their time. Whitaker realized this was a repository of knowledge hidden to protect it from destruction or misuse. Word of the discovery spread quickly, drawing scholars and diplomats. Professor Lucille Moreau, a French historian, arrived, her presence both a boon and source of tension. Together, they began decoding the artifacts, revealing knowledge connecting Egypt not just to Greece and Rome, but to civilizations far beyond. They uncovered a narrative of a civilization of scholars, engineers, and navigators predating even the Egyptians. Knowledge had been passed secretly to priests and pharaohs, influencing monumental architecture, navigation, and early scientific inquiry. With each revelation came danger. Legend spoke of a curse. Storms destroyed equipment. Shadows moved mysteriously. Whispers echoed at night. Even the French syndicate grew bolder, sending men to intimidate and steal. Whitaker and Moreau faced a choice: continue revealing the secrets or bury them forever. Among the most shocking discoveries was a star map showing skies from 10,000 years ago, hinting at catastrophic celestial events. Ancient Egyptians had knowledge of planetary cycles, deliberately hidden from humanity for millennia. Months of excavation revealed staggering knowledge. Astronomy, engineering, and science far beyond what modern historians credited to ancient civilizations. The Library of Alexandria may have been merely the tip of an iceberg, a legacy of a hidden, far older history. Opening ambiance, low desert wind, soft cinematic hum. As the sun rose over the Mediterranean, Alexandria appeared peaceful, almost sacred. But beneath its ancient streets lay secrets the world had forgotten. Secrets only now being uncovered by Dr. Jonathan Whitaker and Professor Lucille Moreau. Deep in the hidden chamber, the two scholars worked tirelessly. Scroll after scroll, tablet after tablet, each revealed knowledge far beyond its time. They found descriptions of a water-raising machine, more advanced than the Archimedes screw, capable of irrigating entire cities. Astronomical tables predicted eclipses decades before they occurred. And yet these writings were older than Egypt itself. One evening, as torchlight flickered across stone walls, Moreau traced her fingers across a parchment. "It's as if they knew the future," she whispered. Whitaker could only nod. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't a simple archive. It was a vault designed to hide knowledge from humanity itself. Maps showed trade routes spanning continents, Egypt to the Indus Valley, Mesopotamia, and regions of Africa and Europe long believed isolated. This ancient civilization had been global, sophisticated, brilliant. Then Whitaker discovered something extraordinary. A polished obsidian disc, etched with geometric symbols. Under sunlight, it projected shifting shadow patterns that mirrored a solar eclipse. A celestial calculator, a device so precise it could predict agricultural cycles with astonishing accuracy. Everything historians thought they knew was wrong. But Alexandria was a city of whispers. Word of their discovery spread. Officials grew suspicious. Diplomats became anxious. Treasure hunters grew greedy. And the mysterious French syndicate, always lurking, began to move dangerously closer. Moreau urged secrecy. "If this knowledge falls into the wrong hands," she warned, "the world isn't ready for it." Their fears proved real. One night, masked figures infiltrated the tunnels, trying to steal the tablets. Whitaker barely hid the most crucial pieces in a secret compartment beneath the chamber floor. "This isn't just history," Moreau said, breathless. "This is power." From that moment, Alexandria became a battleground. Scholars versus syndicates, knowledge versus greed. And the stakes only grew higher. Because hidden within the folds of an ancient scroll was something unimaginable. A prophecy, a warning of a cosmic event occurring every 10,000 years. A planetary alignment triggering storms, floods, and devastation. The last event had wiped out this ancient civilization. The next was coming. The texts spoke of a society that had mastered astronomy, engineering, navigation, even governance, far beyond what history records. The pyramids of Giza, Karnak, the lighthouse of Alexandria, these were not isolated miracles. They were the preserved wisdom of a forgotten world. But their downfall came from the sky, a celestial misalignment, a catastrophe. Survivors buried their knowledge deep beneath Alexandria, hoping future generations might uncover it only when ready. Now, Whitaker and Moreau stand as guardians of that legacy, of truths powerful enough to reshape history and warn humanity of what may lie ahead. The chamber beneath Alexandria was not just a discovery. It was a message from the past to the future. The roaring Mediterranean wind swept across the desert camp as Whitaker and Moreau huddled inside their canvas tent. Lanterns flickered, sand hissed against the ground, and the tension from the attempted robbery still clung to the night air. Whitaker carefully spread out the parchment fragments he had saved from the masked intruders. Strange diagrams filled the yellowed sheets, interlocking gears, star charts, and sequences of numbers written in a form of mathematics far older than Egypt itself. Moreau leaned closer, eyes locked on a repeating pattern. "It looks like the Fibonacci sequence, but something's missing. Whitaker shook his head. Not missing, hidden. For hours, they worked tirelessly, comparing symbols to ancient numerical systems. Slowly, a code emerged, a cipher key. The codex wasn't just a record, it was a blueprint to understand the entire chamber, and perhaps something far more significant. Days later, Whitaker noticed an unusual pattern on the chamber's stone floor. The alignment of symbols matched the star map from the scrolls. When mapped correctly, they revealed a specific point. The teen pried open the slab. Cold, ancient air rushed upward. A secret staircase spiraled downward. Moreau whispered, "This was never meant for the public." Torchlight revealed crude yet deliberate symbols older than anything found above. At the bottom, a circular room appeared. Stone tablets were arranged like an astronomical clock, with a circular platform covered in concentric rings. "It's a calendar," Moreau whispered, "but not like anything we know." Whitaker brushed the dust away, revealing a message carved deep into stone. It was a prophecy, the prophecy of the sun's shadow, a celestial cycle that occurred once every 10,500 years, bringing violent climate upheavals, rising seas, collapsing empires, and firestorms that scarred the sky. Whitaker trembled. "This resembles modern theories about Earth's axial cycles." Moreau nodded slowly. "Milankovitch cycles, but these records predate them by thousands of years." The ancients had known, and they had built this vault as a warning. Tablet after tablet described the fall of an advanced civilization, one that navigated by the stars and engineered structures of impossible precision. Moreau whispered the unthinkable. This is Atlantis." Before Whitaker could respond, shouting echoed through the tunnels. Heavy footsteps approached. The syndicate had returned. Whitaker killed the lanterns. "Hide the tablets." But the mercenaries burst into the lower chamber, weapons drawn. Their leader stepped forward. "Hand over the codex." Moreau stood her ground. "This knowledge belongs to the world." Gunfire erupted. Whitaker and Moreau dove behind a stone pillar, tablets shaking under the shockwaves. "We can't let them take the prophecy," Whitaker shouted. They dashed through a narrow passageway carved deep into the wall. The tunnel spiraled downward into ancient catacombs. Primitive drawings covered the crumbling stone. Ships crossing oceans, stars, mountains, and waves devouring entire cities. "These aren't Egyptian," Moreau breathed. "They're older." The passage opened up into a vast underground water system beneath Alexandria. The syndicate's footsteps thundered behind them. Whitaker spotted a raft. "Get in!" They pushed off into the darkness as the mercenaries stormed into the cavern behind them. "We'll be back," the leader roared. "You cannot hide knowledge meant to rule the world." Hours later, back at camp, Whitaker and Moreau stared at the surviving tablets. This was no longer archaeology. This was a global threat. The prophecy, the technology, the celestial alignments, the evidence of a forgotten civilization, knowledge powerful enough to reshape the future. Moreau whispered, "Maybe the ancients hid this for a reason." Whitaker looked at the horizon. "Or maybe it's time the world learns the truth." Their discovery was not just history, it was destiny. The morning sun rose over Alexandria with a harsh, unforgiving glare. The usual bustle of the city felt different now, tenser, heavier, as though the air itself carried the weight of secrets buried for millennia. Inside a makeshift command tent, Whitaker and Moreau sat among scattered maps, ancient tablets, coded diagrams, and half-translated field reports. Neither had slept. The events of the previous night, the chase through the catacombs, the syndicate mercenaries, the revelation of the prophecy looped endlessly in their minds. Whitaker leaned over the cipher tablet again. "There's more here," he muttered. "The prophecy wasn't meant to stand alone. It's part of a larger sequence." Moreau nodded, unrolling several papyrus maps recovered from the underground vault. The ancients never stored knowledge in one place. They distributed it across continents. The maps revealed coastlines not as they existed today, but as they appeared thousands of years ago. And on each map, one symbol repeated again and again, a sun encircled by 3 concentric rings. Moreau whispered, "The sun shadow seal, the mark of the places that survived the last global catastrophe." Whitaker finished her thought, "or the places built by those who did." They studied the marked regions: Egypt, Greece, India, Peru, and Turkey. A pattern emerged, a network, a grid. Moreau circled the 5 locations slowly. "These aren't random. This is a global system, built long before recorded history." Whitaker's eyes widened. A network of ancient knowledge. Suddenly, the tent flap whipped open. Captain Rami Hassan stood in the entrance, breathless and alarmed. "You must leave, now," he warned. "The syndicate bribed officials. They've been granted legal access to continue the excavation. They're coming for you." "What?" Moreau stood abruptly. "We discovered the site." "Doesn't matter," Rami replied. "They have paperwork, soldiers, and orders." Whitaker stiffened. "Then we're out of time. We leave Egypt immediately." "And choose our first destination," Moreau added. Rami lowered his voice. "If you flee now, I can buy you time. But once you step outside this tent, the chase truly begins." The decision came quickly. Greece. The Oracle of Delphi. Whitaker tapped the map. The ancients believed Delphi was the center of the world, the Omphalos, a place where the gods spoke. Moreau added, "What if those gods were survivors of the ancient civilization? Scientists, engineers, guardians of lost knowledge?" Whitaker nodded. "Then Delphi may contain the next piece of the cipher." They packed the tablets, the scrolls, and the obsidian disc into a reinforced case. Whitaker paused, turning to Rami. "You're risking your life for this." Rami smiled faintly. "History belongs to humanity, not thieves. Now go." They slipped through the alleyways of Alexandria toward the docks. But at the harbor, their contact, Captain Demetrios, waved urgently from a small cargo vessel. "Hurry, they're here." Gunshots tore through crates behind them. Whitaker and Moreau sprinted across the gangplank as mercenaries surged forward. Demetrius launched the ship away from the dock in a burst of roaring engines. Bullets hit the water. Soon the city shrank behind them, its ancient skyline glowing under the setting sun, unaware that 2 fugitives were carrying secrets that could rewrite history. Days passed on the Mediterranean. As the ship cut across the sea, Whitaker and Moreau pored over the tablets again. Symbols on the obsidian disc revealed a hidden instruction, a star alignment visible only 3,000 years ago, directly over Delphi. "This alignment appeared during the last solar shadow cycle," Moreau said. "It must have guided the surviving ancients." Whitaker felt a chill. "Then whatever Alexandria warned us about, Delphi will explain." Demetrius dropped them off at the port of Catras. From there, they traveled on horseback through rugged mountains. Delphi greeted them like a dream pulled from an ancient memory. The temple of Apollo rising above a vast valley, olive trees shimmering like silver in the wind. Whitaker inhaled deeply. This place has seen kings, philosophers, warriors, and maybe something even older. Moreau knelt beside the temple floor. "Look at these stones. They're arranged like the rings on the obsidian disc." Whitaker froze. "You're right." He set the disc into a circular depression carved into the floor. It clicked. The ground trembled. A hidden staircase slowly rose from the stone, dusty, untouched for thousands of years. Moreau whispered, breathless, "We found it, the Delphic vault." They descended into the darkness, torches lighting polished black walls. At the center stood a massive bronze door, engraved with familiar symbols. Across the top, an inscription read, "For those who seek truth, speak the language of the stars." Whitaker exhaled. This is the next key. Moreau opened her notebook. We can decode this. But before they could begin, footsteps echoed behind them. Voices, men. Whitaker whispered sharply, "They found us, already." Dark figures emerged at the top of the stairs. And the vault of Delphi trembled as the past and the present collided. The torchlight flickered violently as footsteps echoed through the stone corridor behind them. Whitaker pulled Moreau behind a carved pillar, his breath sharp with tension. Moreau whispered, asking how the intruders arrived so quickly. Whitaker answered grimly, someone from their ship had betrayed them. The syndicate was already inside. Before them towered a bronze door, engraved with 12 constellations spiraling toward a central emblem, the sun shadow seal, the same one they had seen in Egypt. Footsteps approached, voices mixing in French, Egyptian, and another harsh dialect. Whitaker urged Moreau to decode whatever she could. She spread her cipher notes across the stone floor, fingers tracing the ancient alignment. It wasn't just a pattern, it was a date, an astronomical time signature marking the alignment that destroyed an entire ancient world. As the obsidian disc vibrated inside Whitaker's pack, Moreau instructed him to align the disc with the constellations. A shadow entered the chamber, a gun cocked. The syndicate's leader appeared, tall, scarred, and calm. He thanked them for leading him here. His men spread out, weapons raised. Whitaker warned that they didn't understand the dangers behind the door. The leader insisted, "Open it." When the gun was aimed at Moreau, Whitaker stepped forward and lifted the disc. But a glance from Moreau gave him a silent plan. He tilted the disc intentionally out of alignment. The chamber rumbled. Instead of opening, the door triggered a defensive burst of hot air that stunned the syndicate soldiers. Moreau grabbed Whitaker's arm. They ran. The two sprinted through twisting oracular tunnels lit only by faint phosphorescent markings, astronomical coordinates left by an ancient civilization. Gunfire echoed behind them as they tumbled down a steep incline into a cavern untouched for thousands of years. In the center stood a stone platform holding an impossible device, 3 metal rings rotating around a glowing crystal sphere. An orrery, but older than any known civilization. Moreau read an inscription, "Here lies the memory of the first destruction." When Whitaker touched the sphere, a projection illuminated the cavern, a celestial simulation of a deadly cosmic event, a solar flare, Earth tilting, oceans rising, continents shattering, a civilization wiped from history. Only a few survivors remained, and they built hidden vaults around the world. Before they could study further, gunfire erupted again. The syndicate had found them. The cavern shook. Whitaker grabbed the crystal sphere while Moreau collected ancient scrolls. The leader advanced through the dust. Then the orrery overloaded. A beam of blinding light shot upward as the cavern collapsed. Stones crashed down, burying the syndicate, except the leader, who escaped with hatred burning in his eyes. Whitaker and Moreau fled toward daylight, emerging into the ruins of Delphi at sunset, covered in dust. Moreau held a scroll with coordinates to more vaults across the world. Whitaker held the crystal sphere, the key to them all. Governments, corporations, secret groups, none of them would stop once the truth spread. They had to stay ahead, uncover knowledge responsibly, and decide the fate of humanity themselves. The next coordinate was written clearly: India. Indus Valley, near Mohenjo-daro. Their journey wasn't over. It was just beginning, across continents and into the past.